So you got the Duke on. I've got the Carolina Teal on. I'm not the
Oh, I just noticed that.
I thought I would troll you a little bit because
I knew there was something off about you, Kyle. Like, come on, man. You can't have that on. Not today. Not today. Ugh.
No, it's
Come
been
on,
a
man.
weird week.
It's
And
been a
you know
weird one.
what's driving me crazy? Is the Carolina Panthers are 2-7, yet everyone wants one of their wide receivers.
You know, it'd be like that sometimes. I mean, listen, when your quarterback play is arguably some of the worst in the league, can you really blame the receivers?
Yeah,
Or maybe if the receivers were good enough, maybe the quarterback play. I mean, it's like that old argument: which came first, the chicken or the egg? Who
yeah.
makes who? The wide receiver or the quarterback?
Or it's the system, or is it the coach?
That exactly. All things to consider.
Yes. And hello and welcome to Big Ben and K Winn on NoFilter.net YouTube. If you're more of an audio podcast person, don't worry, we got you covered. Download, listen, subscribe, and 5 stars. If you're watching this live or on demand, drop your comments below. We got a good one tonight. We're going to talk about maybe a little college basketball, NFL Week 10, college football Week 11, maybe a little NBA. I'm K Winn. Big Ben is on vacation, so in his place, we have Duke's #1 fan and our #1 supporter, Manny Brown. Welcome to the pod.
What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, everybody's good, staying alive, staying sane. Glad to be back on the show.
Glad to have you. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's get it.
Earlier this week, Cooper Flagg made his debut.
Yeah.
I saw some of the highlights. Give me the Cooper Flagg scouting report.
I mean, listen, he's everything as advertised. I mean, I wouldn't say he had a monster game. He had a good game, pretty good game. I think it's his first collegiate game, a little bit of the jitters, I would assume. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but listen, the kid's as advertised, man. I mean, he's 6'9", 6'10", athletic, um, moves like a gazelle. You know, flies through the air. I mean, the guy is pretty special. I don't want to sit there and say, I compare him to Zion or compare him to any, listen, the guy is his own guy. I think Duke's got a special player, but not so much just about him, but I just think the freshman who stole the show is Con Knuppel. I mean, he really balled out. Listen, I'm bullish on this Duke team this year, man. I think if everybody stays healthy, yeah, I know we probably haven't gotten into it yet, but if everybody stays healthy, I'm very bullish on this Duke team.
Yeah, they look good and Cooper looked good, right? Like, so I've only seen YouTube highlights
Mhm.
or like you catch him in an all-star game and you don't really know what he's capable of doing.
Right.
Like I knew he could score, I knew he could rebound, I knew he could block
Mhm.
shots. But what I did not know is he's kind of nice with it with the ball. He's got handles out there.
Yeah, he's got some handles. He's got some handles. I think the biggest concern with him was, from scouts that I've talked to, or not talked to, but read, is his shooting was a little bit of a concern. But listen, he's 17 years old. That's the other thing. I mean, this kid's young. It's going to come with time. I mean, what 17-year-old does have an issue with a shot at some point or another? So, listen, I think his shot, I think, is better than advertised. I would say that's probably the part of his game that's probably the most work in progress. Does he have a consistent enough, jump shot? Um,
But what
but
I
listen,
love is
everything else he does is just
checked out
tremendous.
the next year and what his future would look like in the NBA. He's going to play some inside, some outside. He'll have the ball, point forward, what have you.
Yeah,
I didn't know he could pass as well as what I saw in
yeah.
that Duke game, like driving dish, give it ahead, like kick passes out of the post. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, he's very unselfish. He's got a very good eye on the court. I think it helps having so many players around him. I think Duke's been smart about surrounding him with shooters as well. Him and Kaman Malak as well, which is another 5-star freshman. Surrounding those two big guys with shooters around them, so it's just easy outlet passes throughout. But yeah, listen, the kid's been pretty good, pretty good. I saw a lot of him during the preseason. Obviously, I saw quite a bit of him in high school as well. Listen, he's a total package. Again, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to continue to develop. And every freshman goes through that rookie wall, about, right around like game 20, where they kind of start hitting that wall at the college level. So, that'll come, that'll happen. But listen, if he stays healthy, I think the sky's the limit for him. I really do.
And so I hate to do this, but I kind of love to do it, like projecting how good he'll be, what his
Ooh,
legacy will be like. So I'm going to start it off right now.
yeah.
Who are your top three one and done college basketball players of all time?
What of all time?
Now I
Wow.
can give you some hints, or if you want to just kind of go off the cuff.
I'll go off the cuff. One and dones. Okay. Carmelo Anthony. I mean,
Yep.
it's hard to beat Carmelo. 1 year at Syracuse was absolutely sensational. Won a national championship. Jim Boeheim's one and only national championship.
Mhm.
Um, Kevin Durant. I
Yep.
think that's another one. He was just. I mean, just very few times where you saw someone and was like, yeah, this dude is just he could play in the league now, right? Like he was just sensational from day one. And one that the real college basketball fans will know and remember, Michael Beasley.
Yeah.
I'm still to this day, like, I don't know what happened to that dude. Like that dude, like, if you just like a list of like what ifs, like why didn't this guy work? That's one of the guys like on the top of my list. Like Michael Beasley, I thought when he was at K-State was a man. He wasn't a kid. He was a man playing with boys. And I thought he was just going to be electric in the league, and he just never really put it all together for some reason or another. But yeah, Michael Beasley, Kevin Durant, and Carmelo would be my top one and dones of all time. I'm sure there's others out there. I mean, you could put Derrick Rose in that discussion. You could put Anthony Davis, another person in that discussion. Zion, what he
Yep.
did, not just from on the court but off the court, just the massive amount of hype that Zion had. He had Obama pulling up to a Duke game. Like, I mean, this was just incredible. The Zion hype. So there's some other guys to be discussed, but I think those are my three that I would choose.
I think you hit all the usual suspects. My edge goes to Carmelo because he won the national
Yeah.
championship in the biggest moment. I think he had 33 in the Final Four. He
Hmm.
had 20 in the final game. He got Jim Boeheim, his only
Yeah.
national championship. KD, I read somewhere where like he was the first consensus first team All American as a freshman since Chris Jackson. He put
Yeah.
up monster numbers, and then Beasley came a year after him and did that at
Right.
K State. Um, AD was impressive, but while I probably have him below those three
Yeah.
because he had a better supporting cast, 7 pros from that KU
He
team.
did. Although he
And
was pretty dominant. I mean, I think he won National Player of the Year that year too, and I think he won the most out. I think he won the most outstanding player in the Final Four, if I'm not mistaken.
you know
Um,
what? We'll have to fact check it.
yeah, we could somebody fact check. One of the viewers
I think it
or
was
listeners
Michael
fact check
Kidd
us.
Gilchrist because AD put
You're
up a
probably right.
110 in the final game, and Gilchrist had the all around, and then they went one
Right.
and two in next year's draft. So I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was
You're
good.
probably right. Yeah. I definitely think he won. I definitely think he won the Wooden Award though, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. But one of our listeners will fact check us for sure.
Definitely. And then the other name, I'm a West Coast guy, so we got to go all the way back.
Oh.
Sharif Abdul Rahim.
Wow. Sharif
Cal.
Abdul
And he
Rahim.
put up
Yeah. Yeah,
big
he
numbers.
was
Like that was early one and done.
yeah, that was early. That was one and done before it was one and done,
Exactly.
He was just a diaper dandy that decided, you know what, I'm done here, I get it. I get it. That was a good one. That's a good one. That's a blast from the past. A
And then
lot of
the
a lot
other
of young
one,
a lot of the youngins, look it up. Go on YouTube,
yeah,
find out Sharif Abdul Rahim, bro. He was nice.
Todd Bozeman. Then they had Jay Kidd, and then they
Yep.
tried to keep the Cal Bears program alive, bringing in
Yeah.
Sharif from Atlanta.
Yep.
You know how they got him. That's kind of where NIL money started. Todd Bozeman.
Allegedly.
Alleged.
Allegedly.
But the other name, he's got to be on the list, but sometimes people forget because he didn't play that much at Duke, Kyrie Irving, right?
Yeah, he only played 11 games.
He only played
He only
11
played 11
games.
games. Yeah, but he
And
was sensational in those 11 games. Sensational in those 11 games. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. A guy that I think doesn't get the credit because his NBA career, unfortunately, was just ravaged with injuries. But Jabari Parker at Duke was
yeah,
just disgusting.
he was
I mean,
nice.
he was another guy that I thought was just going to take the league by storm, and had a pretty good rookie year. Then tore his ACL, then just never really bounced back from it, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought Jabari Parker was another one that I just thought just had a mod. You know who else? I know I'm going heavy on the Duke side of
Oh, let's
things, but
go.
Michael Bagley Michael Bagley was another guy that I thought was going to be tremendous in the league, and just he hasn't quite lived up to the hype, unfortunately.
You know who wasn't one and done? I think it came out of his sophomore year. Probably my favorite Duke player of all time, underrated William Avery.
William Avery,
He
yeah,
played with Elton and
yep,
Trajan Langdon. They lost
yep.
to UConn. That was a
Oh,
squad.
don't remind me about the '99 Duke team. That's still highway robbery, man. If you ask me, but man, how we lost. I mean, those late '90s and early 2000 Duke teams. People always ask me about like what are the best Duke teams, and everybody always brings up the Leitner teams, but I always think those, man, that '98, '99, 2000, that run from about '98 to about 2001, 2002. I mean, those were stacked Duke teams. I mean, they were just so great.
That's where the brotherhood developed.
Yeah, for sure.
All
For
right,
sure.
so we transition to college football. Are you watching college football as close as you watch college basketball?
Oh, I love college football. Oh, college football's on every Saturday. It's a tradition. It's a holiday. It's like the family already knows. Listen, Saturday mornings from Saturday, and I'm on the West Coast as you, so you know this. Saturday morning at like 9 a.m., 8 a.m. I mean, if you were real lovers, I don't do this as much anymore, but you used to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch college game day.
Oh yeah.
Watch it from sun up to sundown, literally. The Pac-12 after dark. Yeah, heavy on the college football side on the Brown household or
All
in the
right,
Brown.
so how you feeling about the 12-team college playoff?
I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I'm bullish on it. I'm all the way in on the college football play. I mean, just look at how fun this year has been. I mean, we're having discussions about teams being left off in the SEC. Like we're having discussions about. I mean, this weekend potentially could be a knockout game between LSU and Alabama. I mean, think about how fun that is. Think about how refreshing that is. We're talking about teams in the SEC that in any other year we'd be saying, okay, possibly they could still have a chance, or this year. I mean, LSU and Alabama, that's a knockout game. Clemson lost last weekend. They're probably out unless they beat Miami. And run the table. I mean, I think what it's done, it's kind of like how the wild card kind of really reinvigorated baseball and really kind of brought more fan bases, because that was the problem with college football. It was becoming too regional. It was too southern dominated, and now you have so many different regions, so many different conferences that have a legitimate shot. It's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's perfect, but I think what it does is that it opens it up to so many teams. And I think that the criticism of the 12-team playoff was that I think a lot of people thought, oh well, they're just going to put in 6 teams from the SEC and 5 teams from the. No, I think there's that real estate is very precious. I mean, if you're the third or fourth place team in the Big Ten, or you're the third or fourth place team in the SEC, you're really going to have to earn it. And I think what it's done too is I think it's strengthened conference play even more. Now
yeah,
those conference games are even more important. You know, Ole Miss, they're battling for their lives. Now that game at the end of the year between them and Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl, that has even a little bit more significance because maybe Ole Miss is battling for a spot. Auburn and Alabama. Who knows if Alabama can still stay in it? Who knows? Maybe that Iron Bowl game is a knockout game if Alabama loses. So there's so many permutations where these conference games now mean a lot.
a lot, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone was worried about, oh, you got Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. You got Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA going to the Big Ten. It's going to ruin college football. I think it's gotten better because you're
Yeah, I
right.
think it's
Like
gotten better. Absolutely.
week to week, there's a big must-win game, and different than the years past. Like if you lost 1 or 2 games, like your season was over. Like you're going to like the El Paso Bowl, but
Yeah.
you're not going to the playoffs. Now you have a shot, right? Like Georgia versus Ole Miss. That's a
Mhm.
knockout game for Ole Miss if they don't win.
Right. And I think what it's also going to do is I think it's going to help strengthen some teams' as non-conference games as well. Because if you're like, let's be honest, right? The ACC, the Big 12, those are kind of the lesser of the Big Four. If you're in the ACC and you're scheduling out now, because you know that your conference is possibly only going to get 1 team, maybe 2 on a good year, you may schedule some big non-conference games. Now if you're Clemson, you may want to play Georgia more often in the regular season. Now you may want to play Alabama a little bit more. Same for Miami, same for Florida State. In the Big 12, if you're, I don't know, BYU or Colorado, you may schedule a big non-conference or a couple, right, in your non-conference play. So I think what it's done is that it's made every week of the season matter. You
And
only
it's
have
made the
12 games.
championship game matter, right? Because if
Right.
you
Yeah,
win
exactly.
the championship, you get that bye.
Right. And how are teams going to handle the bye, right? Because this is, and that's the really the big thing that I'm curious about is how are teams going to handle this college football playoffs? Because this is the first season where teams are possibly going to be playing potentially 5 extra games in some instances, right? So how is fatigue going to play, and how is depth going to be challenged? Some of these college rosters are depth deficient in a lot of areas. So I think it's going to be very fascinating to see how these coaches handle it. If you're a team like Georgia, do you want the bye or do you want to play a home game and get that momentum? What's the argument in baseball, right? Where it's like, does the bye hurt the division winners? Well, are we going to have that conversation in college football? Well, does the bye hurt the conference champions winners? If let's say Texas wins the SEC and they have a week off and then they come out flat against, I don't know, Iowa State in the quarterfinals, like, I think a lot of people are going to complain, well, the bye, killed them and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's going to be very fascinating. I think it's just been so fun. It really has been.
Well, then on the other side of that, like if you lose one of those conference games,
Yep.
then you have to go on the road and
Yeah.
play somewhere where that's going to be a tough game, even if it's like a Texas or a Bama or Tennessee that don't win the SEC. They got to go on the
Right.
road and play someone. And
Yeah.
then if you
Or
do
even a game at
win,
home. Or even a game at home.
you get the bye, but then
Yeah.
you play on a neutral site. But that's
Right. Exactly. But I mean, what about those teams that have to play those home games? How about Notre Dame in the first weekend of the college football playoff playing, let's say Notre Dame's a 5 and they're playing the 12 seeded Boise State. That's not a pushover.
no.
That's not a layup at all. So that's going to be a very interesting game at Notre Dame. So you would think they have the advantage, but you never know. This is the first year. Listen. I'm so bullish on this. Like, I wanted to start now. I'm so
Yeah.
ready for the college football playoffs. Like, yeah, sign me up.
Oh, I can't wait. Now we got to talk a little Big 12.
Yep.
So BYU's in the lead now. Kansas State lost.
Yep.
Iowa State lost last week.
Right.
Does Colorado have a shot, in your opinion?
Well, I think they have to control their destiny if they win out, and specifically if they beat BYU, right? So, I mean, I think they have a shot. That's the thing. I think I think you could say any team has a shot with this college football playoffs, but specifically with the Big 12. Yeah, I think that Colorado definitely has a chance if they win out, right? I mean, you could argue they have the best quarterback in the conference in Shador, who's going to be the number 1 pick. So, I mean,
Over
if they,
Travis?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we could have a separate discussion on that if you like. But listen, I think Shador, I think Shador's the best quarterback in college football, arguably, and I think that when you have him and you have Travis Hunter and listen, say what you want to say about Dion, he's got those boys playing well. Everybody was ready to kind of jump off the Colorado bandwagon, and look at them. They have an opportunity to win the conference now. And it's not impossible to think that they could run the table. It's not impossible. Now BYU is really good, really, really good. But they've got a chance just as much as anybody.
What I've liked about Colorado is they changed their scheme around a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Like last year it was like, I don't know, 5 wide receivers and just throw it.
Yeah.
They're going more 4, more trips. They're running the ball more.
Yeah, I was just saying, running the football a little bit more. The offensive line's a little bit better, or it's at least it's improved from
Yeah.
earlier in the season where they got completely just destroyed by Nebraska in that Nebraska game. Yeah, so the offensive line has gotten better. They've committed to the run a little bit more. They've taken the pressure off of Shador a little bit more to just be Mr. Do It All. And their defense has actually played a little bit better, a lot better actually. It's been well improved. So listen, I think Dion's credit to Dion. For all the bravado and all the hype and all that, he's got those boys playing really well. And I think that they've handled the pressure, I think, a little bit better this year.
Yeah.
I think last year they started reading their clippings a little bit.
A little tight.
Snoop Dogg on the sideline and all that. I think they kind of bought into the hype a little bit more last year. I think this year they've kind of just been like business as usual. Like, okay, this is who we are. This is who we expect to be. We're here. We've arrived. We could do this. We could play. Now it helps playing in the Big 12 as opposed to the stacked Pac-10 or Pac-12 last year. I think that's helped obviously, but yeah, I think Colorado's got a chance. I really do. It's not impossible to believe that Colorado could end up in that playoff.
So now I got to ask you the question about Heisman. Let's say the season ended today.
Ooh.
You get to invite 3 people to New York. Who are the 3 finalists right now in your mind?
Ashton Genty. I think he's probably been pound for pound the best player in college football this year. What he's doing is just phenomenal. I don't care about he plays a weak schedule. I mean, look at his numbers. I mean,
What are you doing against
and
the Ducks?
exactly, and yeah, exactly. Look what he gets against Oregon, right? Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward.
Okay.
Those would be my. Those would be. I think the Heisman's going to come down to those three.
So I walked you into that question
Uh-huh.
because I wanted to see what you would say. So Cam Ward up for Heisman, but Shador is the better overall quarterback prospect who should be drafted ahead of him.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I love Cam Ward. I really love Cam Ward. I think he is. I watched him at Washington State, and I was impressed with him. Didn't have a lot to work with, and always just made plays. Was just a winner. I like Cam Ward a lot. I think Shador is a little bit more pro ready right now. I think Shador. I mean, some of the throws that Shador makes. I mean, he's just got an incredible arm, incredible feel in the pocket. He's not great move. He's not great out of the pocket. He's not great running the ball. I think that's be the one weak area that he has in his game. Yeah, I think Shador's probably a little bit more NFL ready right now, but I actually think both of them are going to be great. I think both of them are going to be pretty good quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, early in the year, like way back, it was Shador, it was Cam Ward, and then it was Ewers on Texas and Carson
Yeah,
Beck. And
I
like,
never bought
what
into the Ewers.
I'm like,
Yeah, I never bought into the Ewers discussion, and I never bought into the Carson Beck discussion either. I just didn't see them on that echelon. I think it's always been Cam and Shador. The one thing I do worry about Shador is his leadership, his intangibles. That's the one thing that I think NFL teams will have questions about. He's son of a NFL Hall of Famer. The talking points. How much does he love football?
generation.
Right, exactly. I think that is going to be something that unfortunately will stick with him. I do think Cam Ward's a hell of a leader, and I think that's going to be something. I think Cam Ward wins on the intangibles more so than I think Shador does. I didn't like some of the things he said when that Nebraska game. He basically threw his lineman under the bus. I didn't like that. So there are some question marks about Shador. I don't think he's the perfect prospect, but overall, I think he's a hell of a player.
All right, well, let's move on to some football. NFL, and we'll get out of there. Get out of here. Can anyone beat the Chiefs in the AFC?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the thing, man. The Chiefs used to have such an insurmountable edge to them where their margin for error was so significant, especially when they had Tyreek Hill, when they had that offense that was just incredible, that they could score from seamlessly anywhere. I don't think they have that margin for error now because I don't think their offense is the same. They don't have Tyreek anymore. Kelsey's not the player that he used to be. They lost Rice. Worthy's been pretty good so far, and then obviously they got D-Hop. So they've gotten better at the wide receiver position, but they don't have that margin for error. That being said, I still think they're the team to beat until somebody goes into Arrowhead and beats them. Now, I think Baltimore. I think if they were to play again, I think Baltimore beats them.
I do too.
I really do. That's the only team I can see beating the Chiefs. That Baltimore is the only team to me that I can realistically see going into Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs. I don't buy into the Bills. I don't. Yeah, I think Houston's too young and too banged up. I don't buy into them either. I don't.
South Texans, they lost too many people.
No, the Chargers. No. I mean, the Steelers' defense maybe.
It'd have to be like an ugly.
It's gonna be. Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be an ugly 16-13 game. Mahomes plays terrible. It's cold or it's sloppy. Yeah, exactly. That's the only way I could possibly see the Steelers. The Bengals, if they get hot, because Burrow's not afraid of Mahomes and Burrow's gone in there and won it before. You arguably could have won a second time if it wasn't for an out of bounds play. So maybe the Bengals. The NFC North is what I will say is the only division that I think realistically will make the Chiefs even sweat. I think the Ravens, absolutely. I think pound for pound, you could argue the Ravens are just as good, if not better, than the Chiefs. Now, the only thing with the Ravens is sometimes they tend to just kind of lay eggs, man. They just lay the eggs in the wrong. I mean, how do you lose to the Browns?
Number
Yeah.
one offense. They've got the king back there. You got to put
Yeah.
a spy on
Lamar's
Lamar.
probably going to win a third MVP. Like it's just how did they lose to the Browns?
I
How
don't
are they
know.
6-3? You know, it doesn't make any sense for me. So they have the tendency to kind of just put out clunkers.
Yeah.
But if they're firing on all cylinders and they're hot, I could see them going into Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs for sure.
Were we wrong about Russell Wilson?
Who?
I know I was.
You know,
I was like, Mike, just go with Justin. You're winning. You're leading the division. Why are you
yeah,
going to do? But he
yeah.
sees stuff that we don't see on the practice field.
Well, listen,
Knows
Tomlin
his
is
team. I was wrong about Russ.
yeah, Tomlin's phenomenal. Tomlin's a hell of a coach. You'll never hear me say a bad word about Tomlin. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're looking at it from that perspective, yeah, I think we were all wrong about Russell Wilson. Listen, he didn't have a terrible year last year. It's funny with Russell Wilson, right? I think for such a long time he was overrated, and then
Yeah.
the pendulum swung, and
Yeah.
now he's almost become underrated, where I think people just think he's just garbage. Like he's still a decent quarterback. Now, is he what he was at his peak in Seattle? No, but I still think he's a guy that can win. He's smart. He's smart. He's not going to necessarily turn the ball over per se or make stupid plays. He's going to be smart
They
with the
fall
football,
down the field. Like,
right? He could throw. He still has that accuracy.
that play
That
action really
Yep.
wasn't there. Like, you were
Mhm.
just putting 8 in the box and say, beat me with
Right.
bro.
He's opened up that
Plus,
offense for them a lot more. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he definitely is the better quarterback for that team. I still would have kept Fields in there because you were 5-2 with him and you were winning games. So I didn't think there was a need to make a switch. I
I'm with
thought it was just making a switch for switch purposes. But that shows you what the hell we know about football. And this is why Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record and is going to the Hall of Fame, possibly. It shows you what he knows about football. But yeah, I think we were all wrong about Russell, man. I think he still has some juice left in him. Now, I don't know if you can win a championship with him at this stage in his career. I don't know if I don't know. I'm not going to go that far, but can they make the playoffs
make
with
the
Russell and he's
playoffs.
playing
Game.
well? Absolutely.
All right,
And
we're
why
going to
can't he?
get
And why can't he win a playoff game? I mean, he's won playoff games before.
with
Why
that
can't he win a
defense
playoff game?
and the way Najee's been running too. Arthur
Yeah.
Smith loves to run the ball.
Yep.
They're going to pound the ball in the playoffs, and with that D, they're going to keep it close.
Absolutely. 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 I agree.
All right, we're going to give a couple shout outs, and then we'll get you out of here. So, a shout out to at We Can Live Together on TikTok. We asked who would win the NFC West. He said the Cardinals, and then when he got trolled online, he stuck with the Cardinals. So good on.
Got to stick with your
Don't
pick.
move off
Got to
from your
stick with your
seat.
pick, man. Got to stick with your pick.
And then we have at JAWCEH on TikTok as well. His comment was he's gonna sleep. Last week, Big Ben and I thought 2 ACC teams might get into the college football playoff. We thought Clemson was going to win out. We thought Miami was going to win out. We thought Clemson was going to win and both. But then Clemson laid an egg. And
Oh yeah, Clemson's done. Clemson's done.
on
Yeah,
the
Clemson's done.
ACC.
Yeah, they're done. They're done. Real quick, Notre Dame makes the field. If
Yeah.
they win the table, they make the field.
Yeah,
That Northern Illinois loss still bothers me though.
I know, but it's only one loss, and Big Ben always says this, like Notre Dame's got the brand name.
I know.
They've got the money.
I know.
They're gonna get in.
I know this. They arguably have the worst loss of any of the teams possibly in the running. I mean, they've got the worst loss in the country as from one of the big teams, obviously. Like that Northern Illinois game still bothers me. And
well, maybe the Trojans can get Notre Dame and knock them out.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, the Trojans, man. We'll talk about a collapse. Jeez.
Switching quarterbacks now.
Yeah, right. I guess, are you still buying? Are you still buying Lincoln Riley at SC?
You know what? I think I'm buying him being an offensive coordinator, either in the NFL or pulling a Chip Kelly and going to the SEC and being an offensive coordinator. I don't know if he's a great coach.
I don't think he's a great coach either. I've never bought into him as a coach. He inherited a lot of Stoops players at Oklahoma and kind of kept that train going, which is credit to him. But yeah, listen, for a guy who's getting $10 million and came into SC in the middle of the night like a thief, listen, I've been a little bit disappointed in his tenure at SC. If I was an SC fan, let's just put it
Yeah,
that way.
and his
I
gripe
don't think he's
was
going to be an OC. I think he's going to be in the NFL. I think a lot of I could see Dallas. I could see some team out there. I could see Chicago if they let Eberflus go. Why not get some money to Lincoln Riley? Trust his offensive guru-ness.
yeah.
Why not? But
Well, in the press, he's like, "Well, if 5 or 6 plays went differently, you wouldn't be saying this about us." I was like, "Yeah, but that's on you as a coach that those 5 or 6
I
plays
mean,
went
every
so
coach can say
well."
that. Yeah, 5 or 6 plays go different. Yeah, listen, if the Jets had a competent kicker instead of trotting out Greg Zuerlein out there every week, the Jets would be like 5-3 or 6-2, something like that. But hey, that's how it goes, right?
How it goes. You got to win the close games.
Absolutely.
All right, Manny. Before we let you out of here, you want to let our fans know where they can find your stuff, consume your content, follow you
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me again, as always. Yeah, you guys can find me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at the Manuel Brown. I do a lot of baseball, so baseball seasons now has gone dormant for a little bit, but you can follow my work on at MLBbro.com, MLBBRO.com. The Any Given Sunday podcast is on a bit of a hiatus, but it's coming back real soon. So you can follow me there any given Sunday. And it's available on all platforms, and also Dead End Sports. Available on all platforms, and it's got live shows every Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern on YouTube. So just go to the Dead End Sports YouTube channel, and you can follow some of the content there.
Check him out. We love his content. We love him on the pod. Make sure you
Yes, sir.
follow us at Big Ben K Winn _ anywhere you get your social media. Download, listen, subscribe, YouTube, and No Filter every week. Drop your comments below. Manuel Brown, thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Duke's got a big one next week against Kansas too, or Kentucky.
Oh yeah, getting them games. I mean, listen, have you seen our schedule? Our schedule's pretty. Listen, John Shire is not playing this year. He's got some games for sure. I think we play Kansas, we play Kentucky. We got a game at Arizona. Yeah, we got the Big 12. We got the Big 12. I think it's the Big 10 ACC Challenge, and I think we play Illinois as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a tough schedule, and that's all before conference play.
I know. Well, when we get closer to the college playoff or during the college playoff, we got to have you back on the show.
Oh yeah, bring me on, man. I listen. I am going to be a zombie when it comes to the college football playoffs, so I'm just going to be watching everything. I mean, I think it was some crazy stat from like late November to the Super Bowl. Basically, we're gonna have like football pretty much every week.
Wow.
It's something crazy. I don't remember the stat. It's some stat floating around Twitter, but like basically from Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day weekend, basically, we're gonna basically have football nonstop, which is gonna be crazy.
I love it. My wife's not gonna love it, but I love it.
No. My wife's not gonna love it, and but hey, it is what it is. They got to support us, right?
All right. Well, thanks again. Be good.
Absolutely, man. Thanks.